Hello, and welcome to an evening of bull. My name is Baba Blah, and I am joined here today by John Ronson, Molly Barnes, Allie Owens, and Isaac Jones. Tonight we will be discussing the topic of flat Earth. Molly and John will be on the flat earther's side, and from a more traditionalistic view we have Allie and Isaac. Once the dominant worldview, it has since been relegated to the shadows, but has been popping up more and more recently. Molly, would you please explain your argument?
Absolutely, Bob. There are many reasons why I believe that the Earth is flat, but one of the main reasons is because anywhere you are in the world, 360 degrees around you, the horizon appears to be flat, no matter what.
Well, Molly, that is a valid point. I will give you that. But first, let's get some numbers down. So for about every mile out you go, the Earth drops about 8 inches, factoring in the curve. Now, this can be seen very clearly most recently in the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. Now, when this was peaked in height, there were so many famous photos taken from the top of it. And in these photos, you could see the curve of the Earth as well as the sun already crusting over the horizon. Now, at the same time, down at ground level, it's black out yet, or just the horizon. This is because of the pitch. The higher up you go, it is much more visible to see the curve already forming.
And to kind of add to that, I was recently on a cruise and I saw a ship in the distance, and the first part of the ship that I saw was the very top of it. And as I kept watching, more and more of the ship appeared out of the horizon, showing that the Earth is round. And if the Earth was flat, the ship would have you would have seen the whole thing all at once.
Well, no, Allie. I'm not saying that the whole Earth is perfectly flat like this table. There's dips, divots, there's mountains, there's flat desert land. I think that what you were experiencing was maybe some, I don't know, just maybe like a really deep part in the ocean and bigger waves.
Okay, guys, I think we're getting a little more into observational things, and I'd like to get back to the science of it.
Yeah.
Isaac?
Yeah, so if we think of like a beach ball or a basketball, you point a flashlight at it, okay? The light will hit one side and kind of disperse. Now, if we think about time zones, for instance, say you're in Europe and your family's back in America. Why is it that in, say, Europe it's light, it's middle of the day, you FaceTime your family back in America, it's pitch black out? That's because, like that beach ball with the light hitting it, the light hits one side and disperses out, versus the other side is black, or the side where the lights just begin to hit would consider like evening or dusk. So.
I have two things to say about that. So first, if you're looking at a satellite image, because there are plenty of those out there today, the satellite images show that the Earth is perfectly round. It's not flat by any means, it's a perfect round ball. And the second thing I have to add is that if you're looking and laying at the stars, they are not going in a flat line across the sky, they're going in an arc.
Well, Allie, going back to your first point, the use of satellite imagery, you got to keep in mind that our eyes and cameras work in a similar way. They both use a fish lens technology, which actually warps a lot of what we see the farther away you get. So when you're standing on top of the tallest building in the world, of course it's going to look curved. It's more distorted with your circular eyes. And the same thing with satellite imagery. You just can't trust it.
And with everything that the government keeps in the media, how much bullshit is out there. I mean, how do you know that that satellite imagery is even real?
So Molly, if I'm getting this right, you're saying that pictures of the Earth are a government conspiracy?
Well, that's not exactly what I'm saying, Bob. I think that this whole entire argument is just ridiculous. I mean, you guys honestly think that gravity is strong enough to hold all of the millions of gallons of water all into this tight little ball and all the big buildings that we have? You think that it's really that strong?
Well, to flip the topic, Molly, do you think a little glacier can contain the entire oceans, all that at once? And on that note, with climate change, the fact that these glaciers are melting, which there is proof of, let's say hypothetically this is what contains the world. You don't think that those are going to melt and eventually one day break and then the oceans are going to drain away and turn into a valley?
Well, Isaac, you bring up an interesting point. Global warming is one of the biggest issues that needs to be tackled in today's world. With these glaciers around the Earth, the more and more they melt, the more and more likely it is that the ocean's just going to burst and fall into space. And we can't have that happen because we'll lose all of the marine life and a lot of the ecosystems that keep the human race alive. So global warming is really just the most important issue that we can possibly tackle right now in time. We have to prevent these glaciers from melting.
Okay. Well, my only, I guess, challenge for that, I mean, I agree with you with the climate change aspect of this, but if we bring this back, why is the fact that Alaska during the summer, it's light all day long when the Earth is turned, versus wintertime, it's dark all day long? Doesn't that have any challenge for the fact that you think it's flat and that the Earth is completely hit with light all at the same time?
Allie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. So back to my cruise. I went on a cruise around the world, literally around the whole world, and implying that the Earth is round. And I wasn't going to hit an iceberg and have to turn around. I won't hit the edge of the Earth and fall off the ocean.
You didn't fall off, huh?
I did not.
Well, did you know that 80% of the ocean is undiscovered? So when you say you cruised all around the world, you
80% means underwater. It does not mean topically. That means underwater. They find places in the ocean that go down miles and miles. That part hasn't been found. Surface, in terms of surface, it has been, of course.
Well, and I just want to touch on your point about Antarctica. Have you ever really considered just how the people actually are in Antarctica? I mean, a lot of the time
There are no people in Antarctica.
they're very depressed, and like their auras, like the color of like who they are as people, it's a little bit darker. So the sun is actually like tilted away from like
Okay,
that part.
okay, thank you, Molly. I think that's enough for today. Now our panelists will elaborate on where they get their sources from.
Well, I'm John Ronson. Don't call me Johnny. Well, I'm a distant relative of Ptolemy, the original flat earther, and obviously I know everything because of that.
My name's Molly Baines, and all of my arguments came from bull.
I am Allie, and I was arguing the Round Earth Society, and all of my arguments were also bull.
And I am Isaac Hart, good friend of Bill Nye the Science Guy, and my information came from factual evidence and numbers.
Thank you. This has been an evening of bull.